right, so this next lesson that we're looking at starts on page 5 of the notes that you guys have. It deals with solving multiple variables linear systems. So, like in the last lesson that we talked through in class and you watched the video on, we looked at eliminating a system of 2 variables, like we had an x and a y. Well, now we're going to deal with 3 variables, like start dealing with like 3 dimensions, in which we not only are finding out what x and y are, but we're also finding out what z is. So it's using elimination that we did previously, but there's just another, like a couple extra steps that we have to do that, okay? So just to look at an example that's kind of written out, we started off with this system of equation, okay? The first job is to identify a variable that we want to eliminate and then eliminate it. So like in this case, we look at the x's and we're trying to eliminate the 2x values because I do have a negative x. So in order for me to eliminate an x between these 2 equations, I multiplied that second equation by 2. And when I add those 2 equations, equation 1 and equation 2 together, after I multiply it by 2, I ended up with 5y minus 2z equals negative 17. Well, because we eliminated the x's with the first 2 equations as our first step, now what we want to do is we want to choose 2 other equations and try to eliminate x again. So, like in this case, we're looking at equation 2 and equation 3. And we're multiplying that second equation by 3 in order for me to be able to eliminate the x again. So that leaves me with another equation, 11y plus z equals negative 32. Okay, well, so after that, now we just have a system of 2 variables, and we know how to eliminate that since we've done that in the previous lesson. So like we have 5y minus 2z equals negative 17, we have 11y plus z equals negative 32. Well, we notice, hey, we could eliminate the z's because we have a negative 2 and we have a positive 1. So we multiply that second equation by 2. That allows us the chance to eliminate the z's for me to get y to be negative 3. And once I know what y is, then I could substitute it into one of these 2 equations to find out what z is. So I plugged 5 and then I plugged negative 3 in place of this y. And I solved that equation. I got z to be 1. Okay, and then I go back to the beginning. Now I know what y is. Now I know what z is. So I choose one of these equations and I choose this third equation and I plug y and z in order for me to find out what x is, and I get x to be 2. All right, so that's just like a long way of doing it. Well, this is just a worked out solution. So let's try one ourselves, okay? All right, so in this case, I am looking at this system of equation, okay? I have x minus y minus z equals negative 4, and I get x minus 2y plus z equals negative 1. I got 3x plus y plus 2z equals 2. And I want to first decide what variable I want to eliminate, and then choose the 2 equations we're going to use to try to eliminate it. So looking at this, it looks like it might be easiest for me to eliminate the z. So I'm going to take x minus y minus z equals negative 4. I'm going to write down the other equation right underneath it. And because these z's are opposite, I'm just going to add them together. So I have 2x minus 3y equals negative 5. Okay? Now the next step that I'm going to do is, because I eliminated the z with the first 2 equations, now I want to choose 2 other equations, 2 different ones, not 1 and 2, to try to eliminate z again. Okay? So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first and the third equation and try to eliminate z. So I have x minus y minus z equals negative 4. And then I got 3x plus y plus 2z equals 2. Now, in order to make z's opposite here, I'm going to multiply the second equation by 2. Because that would make this into a negative 2z, which eliminates the z. So I have 2x minus 2y minus 2z equals negative 8. And then I have 3x plus y plus 2z equals 2. So I'm going to add these two equations together. And when I do that, I got 5x minus 1y equals negative 6. Okay, so now I have two variables. Okay, so my third step is I'm going to take this system of 2x minus 3y equals negative 5, which that's how I got when I added equations 1 and 2 together. Okay, and then 5x minus 1y equals negative 6 when I worked with the first and third equation. Okay, so now I want to look at this and try to eliminate either x or y. Well, x's look like it's a little, I mean, I can multiply both equations by something. Or, in this case, I could just multiply this second equation by negative 3, and that's going to get the y's to be opposite. So I have negative 15x plus 3y equals 18. And then I have 2x minus 3y equals negative 5. And I can just add these two equations together. So I got negative 13x equals 13. Looks like I get x to be negative 1. Okay. Once I know what x is, I can choose one of these two equations to find out what y is. So I chose that first equation. So I'm going to do 2 times negative 1 minus 3y equals negative 5. So I got negative 2 minus 3y equals negative 5. Negative 3y equals negative 3. So I get y to be 1. So I have x is negative 1. I got y to be 1. Now, all I have to do is I know x is negative 1. I know y is 1. So I'm going to choose one of these three equations. And I actually end up choosing that first equation. Because it doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm going to get the same z value. So I got negative 1 minus 1 minus z equals negative 4. So I got negative 2 minus z equals negative 4. I got negative z equals negative 2. So you get z to be positive 2. Okay? So one thing that we can do is check it. So like I can plug it into one of these other equations to see if this works. So I'm going to choose that bottom one. Okay? I have 3x plus y plus 2z, and that should equal 2. So if I do 3 times negative 1 plus 1 plus 2 times 2, I should get 2. So I get negative 3 plus 1 plus 4, and that is, I get 5 plus negative 3, which is 2, which equals 2. Okay? All right, so your job is to try this next one. It starts off pretty easy because here's the situation. I already have an equation that has z eliminated. Okay? My hint is now, because I already have one equation that z is already eliminated for, now I'm going to ask you guys to try to eliminate z with equations 1 and 3. So try to think of what can I do to eliminate z for the first and third equation. Okay? We'll talk about this on tomorrow or whenever I see you next. Have a great day.